Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages. 9:01 p.m. on October 24th, Friday. Happy St. Gabriel, no, St. Raphael feast. St. Gabriel. I went stupid. It's St. Gabriel today. I don't know why I keep thinking St. Raphael. Yeah, Raphael. What was I thinking? Gabriel's on my mind. I saw Kennedy's post, I think it was, and pray for him and his family. If you saw his X account, you'll understand why. But yes, anyways, let's get right to it. U.S. shutdown hits 24th day as funding battles stall essential services. The U.S. government shutdown, now in its 24th day on October 24, 2025, arises from partisan disputes over extending the Obamacare subsidies and other programs, affecting 800,000 federal employees, which are 800,000 too many, without pay and risking other stuff like SNAP and blah. Also found out that there's people that they can't buy a house because there's the ADHD? No, not ADHD, that's the ADHD. One of the loans is basically for first timers. I can't remember the name of it. It's not ADHD. I have ADHD probably. But they can't do it because it's a federal thing, so they can't get a house with that. I don't know. Again, get government out of everything. Let's see what else. Flooding insurance. I didn't know that was a federal thing. People can't get the homes because of that. So making the housing market even more, as they would say, icier in a sense. Again, if you rely on the government, it's just like the cyber attack on Monday. We rely on these things way too much, and we don't need them. And when it comes down, you see what happens. From Decentral News, a French reporter asked DJT, yesterday there was a vote at your Knesset on annexing the West Bank. This was yesterday, so this came out. Do you see it as a challenge to your peace efforts? ? He makes her repeat the question, then claims he cannot understand a word she's saying. Bondi leans in, says she said the vote at the Knesset on the West Bank. Trump goes, the West Bank? I don't worry about the West Bank. Israel's not going to do anything with the West Bank, okay? Don't worry about that. And if you believe that, then I got some beachfront property to sell you on Mars. Here's the Central News. The Israeli Knesset advances bill to annex occupied West Bank. Literally the same day from Al Jazeera. Israel's parliament advances bill to annex occupied West Bank. The bill passed 25-24, despite opposition from Prime Minister Netanyahu. In the first of 4 votes, it will face to become law. If Trump was that opposed to Israeli annexation of the West Bank, would he have made Mike Huckabee the U.S. ambassador to Israel? Huckabee, Israel should consider annexing parts of Judea and Samaria. Huckabee, the U.S. has never asked Israel to not apply sovereignty to the West Bank. Trump's idea of Israel not doing anything to the West Bank. Israel's not doing anything to the West Bank. Don't worry about it. From headlines. Israel ramps up settlement and annexation in the West Bank with dire human rights consequences. Bowen says Israeli settlers intensify campaign to drive out West Bank Palestinians. BBC. Again, Israel announces major expansion of settlements in occupied West Bank. Sovereignty in all but name. Israel's quickening annexation of the West Bank. Again, it's just comical to see it all. Anonymous donor gives $130 million to cover shortfall in troop pay during the shutdown. Once the future King President DJT said on October 23rd that an anonymous donor, Elon Musk, has sent the federal government a $130 million check to cover the shortfall in military troop pay during the ongoing government shutdown that, please God, it will last for the end of time. He called us the other day and said, I'd like to contribute any shortfall you have because of the Democrat shutdown. I'd like to personally contribute any shortfall you have with the military because I love the military and I love the country, and any shortfall, if there is a shortfall, I'll contribute to it. White House stands firm against Obamacare as shutdown drags on the fourth week. As the government shutdowns enters its 24th day with no end in sight. Yay! White House Deputy Chief of Staff James Blair says the Trump administration has no intention of backing down on the dispute at the heart of the impasse, the expiring enhanced Obamacare premium tax cuts or credits. In an interview with Punchbowl News on Thursday, Blair, who oversees legislation, political, and public affairs for once and future King President DJT, framed the credits as subsidies to insurance companies, signaling that the administration is unwilling to negotiate on their extension. Quote, these insurance subsidies, and to be clear, these are subsidies to insurance companies, Blair said. They don't actually go to people. They've been artificially masking the cost of premiums, okay? They put these in during the COVID era. Democrats voted not once, but twice to make this program temporary. But we're now discussing and for them to expire. You know, the whole thing about the insurance company. Okay, insurance companies are a private company. Now the government's involved there. What's that word they call on that? Again, and when I used to be an assistant sales rep, I remember asking the guy, my boss about it when they talked about getting rid of a couple braces because they got rid of the L code. That's what happens when it was from HHS during the Obama days. What happens when they take over? And he goes, we're out of a job. And he goes, the insurance companies have to do whatever Medicare tells them to do. But they always, it's kind of like the oil guys. The government's going to tell them, we're going to make you guys the enemy in the media, but we're going to give you guys a ton of money. So it's just like that. The insurance companies probably say the same thing. We're going to make you guys look like the worst guys in the world, but we're going to give you a ton of money for doing it. It's the same thing with the oil companies. Oil companies take it's bad, big oil, big oil, big oil. Guess who's also in the big green? The oil companies. They're making out bank, demonizing themselves and making bank in the green field. Yeah. It's the same thing with insurance companies. Because if they really wanted to, they'd push a little bit more hard to get rid of they can't sell across state borders. So like if you got Allstate car insurance, you don't have Allstate North Carolina, Allstate Virginia. You have Allstate all over the place. Same thing in all the other companies. Instead of Blue Cross Blue Shield, North Carolina, you got Blue Cross Blue Shield, Tennessee, Georgia, Florida, Alabama, and each one is different because it depends on how many other insurance companies are in. Some states, I think it was Tennessee. No, Tennessee was a good one, I think. There was a couple states we had to deal with. Maybe it was North Carolina or something. I had like one or two. They had only a couple of states only had one or two insurance companies, so the rates go up. When you had more, the rates were a little bit lower, or the coverage was a lot better. But again, you can't cross state border. You can't. Then you got tort reform, all that stuff. Any problem you see, government. That's federal government, centralized government. That is the problem. Yes, are insurance companies crooks? Yes. The group that leads is in charge. What do we call the centralized government? They aren't angels. Overnight drone attack hits Moscow high rise. Overnight drone attack, we'll try it again, hits Moscow high rise as Putin warns off overwhelming response. Ukrainian drones have once again reached the Moscow area, far away from the border. At a moment, the Kremlin is strongly warning against Washington allowing the transfer of U.S. Tomahawk missiles to Kiev. Rand Paul dines with Thomas Massie after White House lunch snub. I think they took a photo of this. Maybe that's not it. It's just a video. Okay, the video of her. Once a future King President DJT said Senator Rand Paul was the only Republican to skip out on the White House Rose Garden lunch on Tuesday, with the senator dining instead with Representative Thomas Massie. They put it on Twitter. Oh, here it is. Oh, no, that's Trump saying, we're missing just one person. You'll never guess who it is. He automatically votes no on everything. And here's the tweet that Rand Paul put up. I actually wasn't invited to the White House lunch today, but that's okay. I had a previously scheduled Liberty Caucus lunch with Thomas Massie. Good trolling. On the rise in Germany, anti-immigrant populists reach out to Trump. So apparently, somehow the Trump thing is going out in Germany. And again, anybody there's people on Twitter upset that I thought said we have to treat the immigrants with humane instead of wrapping them up in a burrito thing and throwing them in some terrible inhumane facility. Well, you gotta take the law, stick with the law. Yes, remove the illegals, but you can do it in a humane manner, can we not? Or are we as a people not able to do that? Are we so far lost as a people that we have to treat other people as dogs or anything like that? Let's get rid of them, throw them in a prison where they can pee on each other, not even give them food, anything like that. Are they POWs? Again, where's this love at anymore? Look how they love each other. Not unless they're not Trump people. Then we got to hate them. I mean, Pound Jesus didn't say any of that. When love thy neighbor except unless they're a Democrat, or love thy neighbor unless they're a Republican, or love thy neighbor unless they are from Mexico. What is it? I mean, where are we? Politics tops everything else. And Leo came out with a couple of things that's really triggering some people about treating the guys that they're getting rounded up like a little bit more humanely. Again, would you like to be thrown in the burrito? Would you like to be arrested and sent into arrested twice and detained twice and be a U.S. citizen just because they arrested you and did not care to see if you were here validly? That's not even happening. They're just rounding people up. I wish I could. You remember a couple months ago we did that. I had that article about hell, whatever they call that, prison hell. I can't find the darn thing because I don't remember which day I put it on. But yeah, that's a legit thing. But I guess we're okay with that. We shouldn't be okay with that, but that's how we are, because politics is our real religion. Even trads are like that. Live updates: inflation edged higher in September as tariffs raised some prices. The consumer price index rose 3% from a year earlier, a slight acceleration. The report was delayed because the government shutdown, and the White House said that it was unlikely to release inflation data next month. Why would they? It doesn't make them look good. Because remember, cost of living worries haunt Americans ahead of midterms. Reuters Ipsos poll finds. And anybody that's gone to any grocery shopping knows this. We've been talking about it ad nauseum for a while. I mean, butter. Butter is like one of the most expensive. You want to get some good butter? It's going to cost you about $10 a box. I know milk isn't bad. I think milk's still about $2-3. If you get the dead milk, you want the real good milk, get the raw milk. It'll cost you about $10 to $12. You want to get the fake stuff that hurts you? Yeah, you can get it cheap. What else? See, fruits up sky high. That's why you grow your own fruits. You can grow your own stuff, but after a while, you can't grow everything. And it's hard to do a lot of things. I'm being in a rental. I like to do a little bit more. I could make our own laundry detergent, but we don't have the room to put it all together here. I like to grow more things, but I'm in a rental with an HOA. Don't like that at all. But you got to get creative in things. It's going to take a couple years for those apple trees to grow, and once they're not like yay big, but probably another 7 years. U.S. sends B-1 bombers near Venezuela, ramping up military pressure. The flights signal possible widening of U.S. campaign against cartels, quote unquote, and alleged drug traffickers that do not exist in Venezuela. Again, they're going for the oil. The Pentagon orders aircraft carrier to the Caribbean. Move is strongest sign yet that the Trump administration envisions expanding its military campaign in the region. The Pentagon plans to send Navy's most advanced aircraft carrier to the Caribbean, marking a major escalation of the Trump administration's military campaign to target drug smugglers and threatening governments in Latin America. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth has ordered the USS Gerald Ford Carrier Strike Group, which is currently deployed in the Mediterranean, to the Caribbean, Pentagon spokesman Sean Parnell said Friday, bringing dozens more fighter and surveillance aircraft, along with other Navy warships that accompany a carrier. Could USA invade Venezuela? Doomsday Report warns of 100,000 troops and social collapse. Maduro on national television last night begged Trump not to send ground troops to avoid a crazy war after Trump authorized covert action against the country in his battle against drug trafficking. U.S. ground invasion of Venezuela could prove to be incredibly costly as described by the report by the Council on Foreign Relations. Experts note that around 100,000 plus troops would be necessary as part of an invasion of the South American country run by Nicolas Maduro since 2013. And this is all for oil and a regime change. We love regime changes. It doesn't matter what hat you have, red hat, Brandon hat, it's all the same. Regime change is like, that's our main hobby. U.S. is sending an aircraft carrier to Latin America in major escalation of military firepower. Again, a lot of this stuff you see, there was a joke back in the Obama days when it was like, oh, yeah, we just beat up on the little guys. And Mark even brought this up here a second ago. It would be over in a week. Yeah, because it's like, the big guy beating up on a little guy. I mean, they would not, Trump or anybody, Brandon would not do this to Russia or China. But they'll do it to the little guy, the smaller people. U.S. military is sending an aircraft carrier to the waters off South America. We already mentioned that. Pete said that before. We'll skip on. We already know it. Trump Jr. linked drone company. Trump Jr. linked drone company wins Pentagon contract. Unusual Machines secures deal as U.S. military accelerates domestic production of unmanned aircraft. A little-known drone company backed by DJTJ, has won its largest contract from the Pentagon as the U.S. government expands its procurement of the drones. Florida-based Unusual Machines, in one Trump Jr. has held a $4 million stake, said the U.S. Army had contracted it to manufacture 3,500 drone motors alongside various other drone parts. The company added the Army indicated it planned to order an additional 20,000 components from Unusual Machines next year. Alan Evans, the company's chief executive, said he believed there was the largest order for Unusual Machines parts from the U.S. government to date, but declined to disclose the value of the contract. Chief Warrant Officer Ford John Brown of the 101st Airborne Division said of the acquisition, the ability to train like we fight using drones that are reliable gives our soldiers the confidence they need for real-world scenarios. Soon after Trump Jr. came on board, Unusual Machines disclosed he owned 331,580 shares, which would currently be worth roughly $4 million. He's not required to disclose whether he has since sold any of his stake, but Evans earlier this year said the president's son had continued to invest in recent fundraising rounds. In response to questions about the Pentagon contract, Evans told Fortune Times? Financial Times, that Don Jr. did not advise or do anything else on the deal. Trump Jr.'s drone ventures could make a killing thanks to Dad's big, beautiful budget. After Trump was reelected, his son took stakes in several drone companies. They're now raising ethics concern. Again, remember, after they got reelected, selected, they had, because he put it in the ethics bill, the ethics thing. Nobody in the current administration did anything with the ethics pledge. None of them. Didn't Brandon and Brandon Jr. have something to do something like this too? It's okay with the red hat. Silicon Valley's war profiteers. After years of pushing sensationalized claims about foreign threats, Silicon Valley's military startups are set to score billions in funding for drones and AI-powered weapons in the nearly $1 trillion defense budget. To boost the autonomous weapons industry, the House and Senate have passed bills demanding that the Pentagon double down on AI, integrating it into routine tasks and using it to maximize warfare lethality. The bills also instruct the military to treat small drones like expendable ammunition rather than reusable aircraft, potentially triggering a massive increase in spending on the vehicles. And I'll probably start adding bombs to it, because if they treat it like ammo, well, there you go. Attorney General Pam Bondi announces investigation to another Trump foe, Nancy Pelosi. Pelosi suggested those who break the law should be held accountable, even if those people are federal agents. The Attorney General wasn't pleased. So I guess because, nothing is, you have a woman scorned who can't find the Epstein list on her desk. So if Pelosi's in the Epstein list, she'll be all right. And on top of that, if they can be indicted, fine. No one goes to jail. They call Obama treason, traitor, all that. They say that did all this stuff. He's not going to jail. Bolden, he got indicted. Guess what? He didn't go to jail. Pelosi, not going to go to jail. Clinton, not going to go to jail. This is all just drama. And, well, the trillion came from the Doge cuts, remember? Remember all that back a couple of months ago? They had an extra trillion. Guess what they did with it? They sent it to the Pentagon. That was the savings at first, remember? And then they go, we're going to give it to the DOD. Lawmakers start to break ranks under shutdown pressures. Some Republicans and Democrats defy leaders' hard lines and seek ways to alleviate the pain. For crying out loud, people are hurting, says Jim Justice, Representative West. By God, Virginia, we've got to do something. Oh, yeah, you know what you could do? Not go back to D.C. Most people can't sustain this, said Angela. No, what we can't sustain is government continue to grow. The world would be safer without the D.C. government. Be fine with the state governments. The world would be. You want peace? Get rid of D.C. You want peace, prosperity, and increase your dollar? DC's got to go. Out the pasture. Why Hollywood's animal actors can't find work. It wouldn't be Clown Planet if you weren't talking about animal actors. They helped fetch Oscars, boosted box office, and upstaged their A-list co-stars. But these days, Hollywood's animals can't seem to book a gig. I know you're all crying right now. The dog can't get a job in a show. Or the Aflac duck, maybe. China's new strategy for Trump: punch hard, concede little. For Z, rare earths bombshell signaled a new toughness, while TikTok was spiritual opium that could be turned into a low-cost bargaining chip. Let's see where we're at here. Yeah, my dog needs a job. What was that movie? It was the kid sitting there. He's like 3 or 4. He's watching TV, and his drunk dad comes in and tells him, "Go get a job." And the mom goes, "He's only 4. I'm sick of excuses. It's cold outside. It's raining. He's only 4." Yeah, dog. You want to earn your keep? Get out there and get a job. War footing. Trump sends aircraft carrier and Super Hornets to blitz narco terrorists as Hegseth vows to hunt them all like Al-Qaeda. Oh, that's what I wanted to get on this. Are we talking about the same Al-Qaeda? Let's see. What was the Al-Qaeda thing here? Are we talking about the same Al-Qaeda that did? Let's see. Where's that? What was his name? Al-Qaeda. UN. Oh, I know. I mean, we have to type in more. Al-Qaeda, United Nations, United. Not Al-Qaeda. I can't. What was his name? Do you remember when I did that? I had the show on it where they had the Al-Qaeda guy come up. And our guy sat there saying, "How was your day?" Oh, darn it, I can't find a darn thing. Anyway, so yeah, they're going to do it. We're going to strike them down like Al Qaeda. Okay, right now Al Qaeda is our friend. Remember they were at the United Nations, and he was in the last administration with Trump, and the Al Qaeda leader comes out, and we shake his hand. He goes, "You good? You sleeping well?" All that they rolled out the red carpet and pretty much said, "Hey, yeah, we're cool with you guys." Again, just shows you like, yeah, whatever, dude. I don't believe that one bit unless you're going to give them breakfast. By the way, Al Qaeda is a CIA offspring, just like how Hamas is paid off by Israel. Al Qaeda, if you look at the Corbett secret history. There's a secret history of Hamas. That was a newsletter. Here's False Flags, the secret history of Al Qaeda, Part 3, War of Terror, Part 2, 9/11, and Part 1. It's just shows you that they're part of they're our guys. We created that. Parents of fishermen killed in U.S. strike. We need answers from Trump. Carmela Medina and Alejandro Carranza say they will not accept their son is dead until they have proof, even after their government said he had been murdered. Republicans who have rarely opposed Trump raised questions about his drug war. The president said he wouldn't seek congressional approval for expanding military offensive against cartels, but some in his party believe Congress should weigh in. Maybe we should stick with the rule of law here. What do you think, Johnson? Howard Johnson's right. The growing number of Republicans on Capitol Hill have raised concerns about once and future King Donald J. Trump's expanding war against drug cartels carried out without consultation or authorization by Congress, and are pressing for more information involvement in the campaign whose legal basis remains murky. Murky, that's being nice. We have oversight committees and we expect to get our questions answered, says Mark Rounds, Republican of South Dakota, a member of the Armed Services Committee, said in an interview on Wednesday. So far, the measure which Trump was the president would all but certainly veto because it's against him does not appear to have sufficient Republican backing to move forward. It would need the support of at least 4 GOP senators, yet it is shaping up to be an important test vote as Mr. Trump declares that he neither needs nor plans to seek any authorization for his drug war. And as some of the GOP are arguing that Congress must weigh in. They won't because they're terrified. Senator Susan Collins, Republican from Maine and a member of the Intelligence Committee, says she would like to see the Senate pass a resolution that either authorizes his force or prevents its use. Probably would just ignore it anyways. Since September, the U.S. has launched 10 non-lethal strikes on vessels the Trump administration says are trafficking drugs and deployed more than 10,000 troops and aircrafts across the region. Speaking of which, let's check in to see what Anywar.com has for today. U.S. considers plan to split Gaza in two. Map of Gaza shows where Israeli forces are positioned. Ceasefire hasn't ended catastrophic hunger crisis in Gaza. Marco Rubio arrives in Israel for babysitting. Knesset vote on West Bank was stupid political stunt. Israeli airstrikes on Lebanon killed 3. Van Gavir calls for death penalty on bound Palestinian prisoners. U.S. bombs 9th alleged drug boat. Yay. U.S. flies B bombers in provocation aimed at Venezuela. I mentioned that. Putin brushes off new U.S. sanctions. NATO countries feud over Ukrainian attacks on pipelines. And Somalia suspected U.S. strike harms civilians. Now to sports. Well, that goes viral. I forgot about that. Sorry about the wordy dirt on the New Yorker dubbed polka dot dress woman by the internet has gone viral after footage captured her showing who's number one at the law enforcement Humvee and tussling with agents Tuesday when an ICE sweep triggered protest on Manhattan's Canal Street. Video from the scene showed agents shoving protesters to the ground and threatening them with stun guns and pepper spray. Again, we're applauding the police state. A skills gap is turning cleaning for the rich into a $100,000 job. As the wealthy get wealthier and fuel a boom in luxury furnishings, highly trained household staff are in high demand. Gina began her career as a housekeeper in the homes of the merely well-to-do. Today, after 26 years climbing the ladder of domestic service, she works in the San Francisco Bay Area as an executive housekeeper for the ultra-high net worth families. It's a lot of levels of cleaning, and I've done to get where I'm right now, says Gina, who asked to be identified only by her first name because of the sensitivity of her position. You've got to know about art. You've got to know about antiques. There's a lot of custom pieces, and of course, they are not replaceable. Rubio stresses there is no plan B amid questions over Trump's Gaza deal. Tel Aviv, U.S. Secretary of State and Zionist Marco Rubio, and guy that's pretty much trying to pull the strings down of the Venezuela takeover, said Friday that these United States continue to support Israel and was committed to the ceasefire in Gaza, even as the deal has continued to face hurdles, and Israelis have questioned how exactly the deal will be sustained and how much the U.S. administration will dictate Israeli military actions. Tropical storm Melissa may reach Category 5. Currently, it's a darn tropical storm. Poses great danger to Jamaica, Cuba, and Haiti. Tropical storm Melissa is forecast to rapidly strengthen to a major hurricane over the Caribbean and could end up being one of the strongest of the season. Have we had anything? We've had nothing to hit landfall. I guess we had. Did we have a Category 5? I think there was a Cat 4 or 5 that just stayed in the Atlantic. Didn't even. I think it got a couple whales wet. Excuse me. But yeah, go for a tropical storm to a Cat 5 real quick. That's a high. That's pretty quick. We're supposed to get a lot of rain Monday and Tuesday and Wednesday. Mostly Monday, but I don't think it's from this. This is the AccuWeather real impact scale for Hurricane 5 for the Western Caribbean and 1 for Puerto Rico. So that's got to really strengthen to get there that quick. The scale developed by AccuWeather takes the account of risk to lives, whatever. Landfall is looking like Jamaica. Yeah, it's just going to go out. So it's going to go from 0 to 1 to 3 to 4, then make a V cut up through Cuba. The U.S. thought they'd killed an ISIS spy. He may have been an ally. A row over a tribal leader's death in the special forces raid in Syria has highlighted the complexity and confusion of America's hunt for Islamic State. World is running out of coffee. Great googly moogly out of everyone. We just left. Everyone is going to run to the store to go get coffee. Arabica features hit new highs as Brazil troubles worsen. Arabica coffee futures in New York jumped nearly 4% to $4.36 a pound, a new record high amid renewed concerns that adverse weather conditions may impact Brazilian exports. These concerns were previously highlighted in our mid-September coffee report, which warned of ongoing weather disasters in Brazil that could threaten global production. Arabica, the premium bean used by Starbucks, Dunkin' Donuts, and other chains, had set the previous record of $4.20 and $2.9995 a pound in February amid rising fears the top grower Brazil would export fewer beans. Here's coffee analyst warns Brazil frost could deliver death blow to 2026 harvest. Yeah, they do not like frost. Anyway, so you want alternatives for that. One, you can have your own coffee plant. I know that's crazy to think. You can grow your own coffee beans. Go look at the fast growing trees website. I think they're in South Carolina, not too far from me. I've gotten some. Usually, I'll wait for a deal for those. But you can get a coffee plant, coffee tree, you put it in a pot. Depending on where you live. You live in Florida or Texas, Arizona, you can put that in the ground. I think anywhere over zone 8 or higher, you can do coffee in the ground. Anything lower in zone 8 or zone 8 and lower, you need keep it in a pot or put it in a greenhouse and put it in the ground. I mean, that'd be easy. Then you have coffee you don't have to worry about. Also, there's a natural one called Yaupon holly. And if you have Yaupon holly, look it up. You can grow your own Yaupon holly and use the leaves just like coffee. It's the same thing. It will do the exact same thing. And you don't have to wait for the bean to come out of the coffee plant. I have a coffee plant out back. Downside, I don't have a greenhouse in the new place, so I have to bring it up. I'll probably bring that up next week. And probably should have done it already. It's supposed to be like 42 tonight. But put some incandescent light bulbs around it. Put some frost cover over it. Bada bang. That thing will be green the entire winter. No problem. I got to do that with my banana tree, coffee plants, lime. Lime is really sensitive. Moringa goes to sleep under 50. What else right now? Avocado. That's it. Everything else will just go to sleep dormant and come back up in force afterwards. My blackberry. Some of the blueberries, depending on what it is, needs a freeze factor. You need so many freeze hours depending on the variety of your blueberry or blackberry. Strawberries will get there. Greenhouse coffee. Yeah, you can make greenhouse coffee. You can make a cheap version of greenhouse coffee. One, get you a coffee plant, piece of cake, put it in a pot, and you don't have to have one of these gigantic $4,000 greenhouses. You can go on Amazon, and depending on how much you want, you can do like an 8x8, 6x6, 10x12, do different things. Greenhouse, it's a pop-up. It's like a tailgating tent. Put it in there. Get you a little heater because you have to put it up close to wherever you got some kind of electricity, so you can have a heater running in there. So you have to have a heat source of some kind. Some people can put it in a bowl, in a big bucket of water, then the heat from the sun will warm that up. But you got to make sure it's going to be sunny. That does work though. But I have a little heater, it's probably about yay big, $10 I got off Amazon. And I would put it at 50 degrees in that greenhouse and just let it cook. And you walk out, it'd be freezing outside. I'd go out there to water that thing. I'd open that thing. It's another climate. It was tropical almost in there. I had lemons blooming. Like I said, the moringa had a guava in there going well. If I had it now, I'd put my pineapples out there. I guarantee I'd have a pineapple in January if I had a greenhouse. That thing is big right now. But yeah, get you a little. You can look on Amazon, find you a cheap greenhouse, pop it up, dig it, put it into the ground, put cement in it, whatever you want. Get you a little heater, get you a coffee plant, bada bing. You got you some coffee. It'll take a while for it. I have one indoors for other plants. Yeah. You can actually grow the coffee in your house as long as you got the sun coming in and it's a decent temp in there. The main thing is the sun. So if you got just a room where it's just going to be sunny for 6 hours, 7 hours, just put the coffee plant in the house. You just get some indoor soil. You have the coffee inside. You don't even have to go outside for it. It just grow in there. Sunroom, things like that. Anyway, getting off topic. So yeah, avoid the coffee thing. And on top of that, it's great bartering. So if there is a crisis, say like money or things, bartering coffee will just be a big thing. I mean, I want to grow tobacco for exactly that too. I got some seeds now for tobacco and anything else like that. Just get your mind on there. Like, what can I grow that's good bartering? Coffee would be a great one. You just wait for the coffee bean, peel the top part off, get the inside of the bean, you're done. I can't wait for that coffee thing to start fruiting, but it's just been finicky and I need to change the soil. I don't think it likes wet legs. So I need to get in there, put some lava rocks underneath, change the soil out to get it more sandy, and then go from there. I bet that would work. I just need to get through that one these days. Let's get to this day in history. October 24th, United Nations established, one of the worst days of the 1900s. Get us out of the UN. 2017, American musician Fats Domino died at age 89. 2005, Rosa Parks died at 92. 2003, supersonic passenger service ended as British Airways flew its last Concorde flight. 1992, the Toronto Blue Jays defeated the Atlanta Braves, become the first team not based in these United States to win the World Series. Man, I remember that World Series. 1970, Salvador Allende's election of the first Marxist president of Chile was confirmed. Now, Joe Carter hit the home run off. I can't remember that guy now. I can see the pitch. 1962, the American Cold War thriller, The Manchurian Candidate, was released. I think it had about 15 different remakes after that. 1940, the 40-hour work week went into effect under the U.S. Fair Labor Standards Act of 1938. Thank you, communists. Did I say that out loud? 1929, a record 12,894,650 shares of stock were traded, causing the first day of a real panic of the crash in 1929, known as Black Thursday. And if you lived on the farm growing your own thing, you had no idea that happened, and it didn't affect you one bit. 1922, Benito Mussolini helped plan the March on Rome, which began on October 28th and resulted in him becoming dictator of Italy. 1917, more than 600,000 Italians surrendered or retreated at the Battle of Caporetto during World War I. 1861, the first transcontinental telegram was sent via the telegraph in the United States, effectively bringing to the end of the Pony Express. 1648, the Peace of Westphalia ended the 80 Years' War between Spain and the Dutch in the German phase of the 30 Years' War. Trivia question, how long was the 80 Years' War and how long was the 30 Years' War? 1632, Dutch microscopist Antony van Leeuwenhoek, whatever, who became the first to observe bacteria and protozoans, was born. Was born in the after that. Oh, yeah. I mean, John Burst. I know a couple guys in the Burst Society, and yes, amen. Hey, get U.S. out of the UN, but I would like to get wherever you are out of the U.S. and then you're automatically out of the UN. That too, that works out great. Anyways, have a great rest of the weekend or rest of the night. Enjoy your weekend. See you Monday for Black Pill Monday. And as always, like, subscribe, comment underneath. And I got about 6 to 8 videos coming out throughout the weekend. I got one more I have to put together tomorrow. Anyways, God love you. Have a great rest of the day. SensifideLium.tv for the app. And again, thank you for everything.